So let's see if I can make a video about this March event before the end of March. Hello, I'm Tim and I have too many books. One of the March events is March of the Mammoths, where you're supposed to start a mammoth book, a large book, in your collection. Unfortunately, the way my TBR works, I haven't been able to start any large books this month. But I thought I'd give you a glimpse into some of the mammoth books that I have on my physical TBR. These aren't books I'm going to read immediately, but they are probably some of the longest books that I'm due to read. We start with Gai-Jin by James Clavell. This is his 1993 novel set in Japan during the Anglo-Satsuma War of 1862. It's about 1,583 pages long, and it is probably his longest novel. James Clavell's series of Asian novels often has characters who are connected with a merchant house based in Hong Kong called Struan's. Struan's is based on the real merchant house Jardine Matheson. They're almost always characters working for Struan's or connected to Struan's in the Asian saga. In Gai-Jin we meet characters who are descendants of people we first met in Taipan, which is all about the founding of Hong Kong, and also descendants from characters from Shogun, which is based in the 17th century. The next book is New York by Edward Rutherfurd. This was published in 2009 and this edition has 1,020 pages. According to the blurb and other bits and pieces, this novel appears to follow the standard Rutherfurd template of a multi-generational saga based around a single location. In this we take New York and we go through from very early settlement by indigenous peoples right through to colonization by different peoples such as the Dutch, the English, and then all the immigrants of the 19th and 20th centuries. In each sequence, we're usually introduced to new people, some of whom will be descendants of people we've previously met, and others will be incomers and immigrants. The next Edward Rutherfurd book for me will be Sarum, which is set around Salisbury and also features Stonehenge. The next book is Poor Fellow, My Country by Xavier Herbert, written in 1975. This novel, at 1,461 pages, is Australia's longest novel and is the 1975 winner of the Miles Franklin Prize. Miles Franklin is probably best known for her book My Brilliant Career. This book is set between 1936 and 1942 in an area that Xavier Herbert made his own called Capricornia in northern Australia. It features three social outcasts: Prindy, a half indigenous boy, his grandfather Jeremy, and Rivka, who is an Eastern European immigrant fleeing Nazism. Our next book is Against the Day by Thomas Pynchon from 2006. This is Pynchon's longest book to date at 1,220 pages. It starts at the Chicago World's Fair in 1894 and goes on to just after the Great War. In his own synopsis of this novel, Pynchon promised appearances from Nikola Tesla, Bela Lugosi and Groucho Marx. I tend to find that one of the tricks for reading Thomas Pynchon is to try to plough through it. It can be difficult to get through the first 100 or so pages, but I have tended to find that if I can find a rhythm and constantly keep at it, it tends to be very, very rewarding in the end. I realise, of course, that might not sound like much of a recommendation, but I've really enjoyed the Pynchon books I've read so far. Our next book is Sir Charles Grandison by Samuel Richardson from 1754. This is Samuel Richardson's second longest novel. It's about 800,000 words, and this edition is 1,629 pages. This book serves as something of a reaction to his longest novel, Clarissa. In Clarissa and his previous book, Pamela, we have two extremely virtuous women who have to put up with some really quite toxic rakes and win through, or not. A lot of the people who had read and enjoyed Pamela and Clarissa wanted Samuel Richardson to create a male character who was as virtuous as the heroines of those books. And Samuel Richardson, it appears, was rather keen to encourage people not to like characters like Lovelace, who is a serial sexual predator and is deeply, deeply unpleasant, but some of his younger readers seem to identify with him quite a lot. One of the most interesting features of this book is that it's possibly Jane Austen's favourite book. In her teens or early adulthood, she wrote a short, humorous play based on this book, and according to her nephew, she could quote large passages of this, and you occasionally see in her letters her likening herself or comparing herself to the heroine of this book, Harriet Byron. Our final book is Maia by Richard Adams. This is a book from 1984 and is a prequel to his 1974 book Shardik. It's set in the same place about 15 years before. It's about 1,129 pages and is by far Richard Adams' longest book. I tend to consider the best way of describing the historical setting of this is as being in that kind of Hyborian age that Robert E. Howard used for Conan the Barbarian. It's kind of the Iron Age before the great empires of Persia, Greece and Rome. The story is about a young woman who is sold into slavery in the Beklan Empire, which is the land that Adams invented in Shardik. One little thing I found rather icky in looking at the beginning of this book is it has a character list at the start, and one of the major characters in the book is described simply as a black girl. Now, that definitely feels a bit odd to me, and doesn't sit quite right. People are people. And they are deserving of a sort of a little more detail than just the colour of their skin. All the same, I'm definitely looking forward to this book, and this is probably the next book I am going to read, and I might be beginning it sooner rather than later. So that's the list of Mammoth books that I haven't got round to starting to read in March. I hope you've enjoyed it. Goodbye.